Hi, everybody. Parker J, and welcome to another edition of the Right Stuff Podcast. I'm so excited today. We have a wonderful author friend of mine, and just a wonderful friend in general. Her name is Lynn Donovan, and we're going to be talking about her book, Fertility Pirates. Does that just get your goat going? I just love that title. That was what actually drew me to the book, because it said Fertility Pirates. And you're like, oh my goodness, what is going on? The first thing you think of as soon as you hear the title is Fertility Pirates. I mean, all kinds of things come to mind. And let me tell you, by the time you finish reading this book, you're going to get just a wonderful piece of fiction. And there's a sequel to that. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on. So without further ado, I want to introduce Lynn. Lynn, how are you doing today?
I am awesome, Parker. Thank you so much for having me on tonight.
And I'm glad to have you too. And I hear the dogs in the background. And just let everyone know, Lynn and I spent a week together. We spent a week together because we went to the Romantic Times Book Lovers Conference in Reno of this year. Some of you who follow me on Facebook, you know we went this year. And so with that, we had a great time of getting to know each other, because when you live with someone for a week, chances are you can determine if you can stay with that person for the rest of your life. And so we discovered that we love each other so much as sisters in Christ, and that we can live with each other at least for a week. We can live with each other at least for a week. You know, Lynn, what did you take from that conference? Because we had a great time. What did you take from that book lovers convention?
Wasn't that amazing? You know, it was just so much fun. I mean, there was dress up in old-timey stuff. There was classes that were just, they explored avenues of the romance that I never even considered before. And it's kind of hard to write in, you know, what's considered sweet romance, because you keep it really, really clean. And it's hard to come up with ways to describe certain, you know, acts of lovemaking and stuff, but keeping it very clean and very, shall we say, civilized. But there was a lot of really like list of words and things that you can use to make those descriptions. It was amazing. And Parker and I, like she said, we shared a room, and we learned a lot about each other too, more than probably anybody should know. We shared all kinds of secrets. And our minds being writers, we were constantly planning and thinking of additional things that we wanted to write, and we started plotting out some stories that might show up in 2019. We'll see.
We had such a great time. And one thing that Lynn's right, we did learn a lot about each other. One thing she learned is that I have to fall asleep to TV. And during that time we lived together in the hotel in Reno, I kept falling asleep, no joke, to Columbo, because I was on a Columbo kick for like 4 months. I was watching every single episode of Columbo. And so I said, Lynn, there's something I need to tell you. And Lynn is like, what do you have to tell me, Parker? I said, listen, I fall asleep on the TV and I have Columbo. I'm in the Columbo right now. And so what was so funny is that I made sure to keep my computer down. But what was so funny is that the next day, Lynn woke up. I thought I smelled cigar smoke in here because of Columbo. We had such a great time, though, guys. So me and Lynn, we had such a great time. And then she learned my penchant for talking during movies. We were trying to watch this horrible movie on Lifetime that I became allergic to. And we were watching it because it's one of those movies you just have to keep watching, because you got to know. I mean, it draws at the. Really, it was a horrible movie. It was a horrible movie.
This is gonna get better. We've got to keep watching. It's got to get better.
And it never did. I'm letting our listeners, our viewers know, it never got better. But you had to keep watching, because Lifetime is very good at just drawing you into a horrible movie that you can't stop watching, which is why I'm allergic to Lifetime movies. But yeah, we had a great time just learning about each other and just becoming really good friends. And we talk all the time now, and we've started some projects together. And that's the nice part about meeting people in person, because that Facebook connection or that online connection is great. I still think that is a very legitimate form. But when you meet a person in person, and they're just as nice as people you meet online, it's great. And so it kind of solidifies a friendship. And I know I have a lifelong friend with Lynn. I know she has one with me. And so with that, I'm just really excited to talk about Fertility Pirates, because Fertility Pirates is a very unique storyline that I think a lot of Christian fiction doesn't really delve into. And so Lynn, go ahead and show the cover of Fertility Pirates.
I know it's backwards, but yeah.
Oh, it's not
the
backwards.
cover,
It's not backwards. It looks
it's
great.
not? Okay,
It looks great. And if you see,
yeah.
there's a gentleman behind there gazing down into her. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in this book. And thanks for showing that to us, Lynn. Lots going on in the book. And so with Fertility Pirates, we're dealing with a certain concept here. And so that concept is what, Lynn?
Well, I wanted to do a speculative fiction. I can't always say the words, I can only write them. But I wanted to make it interesting. I didn't want to be the same old, vampires, dragons, werewolves, all that stuff. And so I thought, what if a missionary group had to, like we go on missionary trips to a third world country and we help them rebuild or do whatever needs to be done that they don't have. So what if we had a missionary group who went into outer space to a planet who for some reason is losing their fertility, but we as missionary people go there and we help them with our medical knowledge and our physical selves, and we donate the women donate their eggs, and then through the technology of medicine, and of course modern medicine, because it's set in the future 200 years and 600 light years from Earth, and we help them repopulate their group of people. So that's where that came from. And the people that are there are part human and part silver wolf. So that's even cooler, because our genealogy is close enough that it really does help them to repopulate their people. But then, of course, you have to have the twist. So then we have the pirates who come in and manipulate and do black market type, selling off of the fertilized eggs and infiltrate the local thing. And then, you're like, who's involved, who's stealing this, so it kind of became a little mystery to it too. So it was a lot of fun. But because it's a missionary group, it of course is still under the umbrella of the Christian fiction, because they come there with the Christian mission, as missionaries do, to also share the gospel and teach them about Jesus and the way of Christianity.
One of the things that happens a lot in speculative fiction circles, especially Christian speculative fiction circles, is the whole deal about aliens. And there are some people who are really gun-ho about there not being any aliens. And there are some of us who say, you know what, I'm not precluding the possibility of it. And there are some of us saying, of course, that's the stupidest thing ever, think there aren't anyone else around here. Regardless of where we stand on that, the idea that there are of aliens being out there, and that we will be going to them as missionaries, really titillates a lot of Christian speculative fiction authors, because we're saying, what's our purpose? We have all these planets, we have all these beautiful things in our galaxy. We haven't seen the whole universe yet. We keep probing different parts of the universe. We haven't seen the whole thing. We conjecture and we pull out from what we know about the universe that it looks a certain way or it acts a certain way, something like that. But at the end of the day, we really don't know, because we haven't seen all of it. And so I like that concept. When I was reading Fertility, it was like, wow, these missionaries are going over to do God's will. They're doing God's work. They're going over there to help the downtrodden, help those who need help. But instead of giving food, instead of giving resources, here's my eggs. And so that brings up a whole concept about surrogacy and things of that nature. So just we could just go off tangent with that. When you were doing the research for this book, what type of ideas did you get, or thoughts did you come across when it came to dealing with surrogacy?
And I have surrogacy in this book. I give an option of that they could donate their eggs, or they could actually be surrogates for for the people. And my character actually has convictions and problems. You know, she carries this child in her body, and then she doesn't want to give it up. And that's the kind of thing that does happen here on our planet. And so I wanted to make that part of that. But yeah, looking at the research, there's a lot of emotional ties, even when you give that little amoeba of your body for the cell to be, you know, made into a baby for these other people. That's still a part of you, even though it was so small and you didn't know it. And in looking at the research, I looked at people's stories that did surrogacies and stuff like that, and how hard it was for them to set their minds so that they could let that baby go, because you're making this baby for somebody else. You know, it's huge, but you've really got to get your mindset right. And my goodness, what greater gift can you do than to give your body to be the incubator, to give someone a baby who can't have a baby? That's huge and very emotional. And so it was really interesting to go back and read people's, you know, diaries and journals and stuff like that, to get the feel for how that would be for my little fictional people.
So tell us about the main character. What are some of the things that she's dealing with? And tell us her name, and tell us what are some of the things she's dealing with as she deals with trying to find her sister, because her sister went on a mission of mercy, and then it goes downhill from there.
Yeah, and it does. And actually, my main character, Molly, isn't the one who is the surrogate. It was her sister who was the surrogate. Her sister left Earth and went to this planet, Omnibus, and had a baby. And then she came back to Earth and didn't have a baby, but she had a baby doll. And her paperwork all said that she had made all this up in her head. So her sister, Molly, who's the main character in Fertility Pirates, is a cop. So as a cop, she goes underground and joins a missionary group and goes to this planet to figure out what happened, because she believes her sister that she did have a baby, but that they hid it. They hid the fact that she had a baby, stole it from her, something. She just didn't know what had happened. And that's all part of the Fertility Pirates, is that it's, you know, this stuff kind of got messed up with people that wanted to exploit it and all of that. So it was really interesting, but it turns out that one of the doctors who goes there as a missionary, as a fertility doctor type person, well, he becomes a love interest. And so they have conflict, and they like each other, but they don't like each other. And so, but he ends up helping her try to figure out what's going on. And, you know, they have this same plan to figure out, and when he gets there, as he's going, actually, she learns that it's actually this doctor's father who's running the whole program there on the other planet. So it just becomes this huge mess.
One thing I like about Fertility Pirates is just how much imagination went into this story. There's a lot of imagination that went into it, and it really touched on a lot of deep issues that I think people deal with when it comes to motherhood, when it comes to family, when it comes to races, and it comes to all kind of just things are going on here. Like I said, I really enjoyed the book. There are times you want to choke Molly, you just want to choke her, because she's just so headstrong. She won't listen. Kind of like Lynn. Right. I mean, maybe it's kind of like Lynn. Did you use yourself as a platform for Molly?
A little of Lynn and Molly, yeah. I admit that.
Now, there's also a sequel to Fertility Pirates, and go ahead and show the cover of it. There's a sequel to Fertility Pirates too.
And so on this cover, you see this is Molly, and that's her sister. And her sister ends up coming back to the planet and trying to find that baby that they said she didn't have. But you notice it's Molly now who's a little on the pregnant side. It kind of tells you what happened to her with the doctor.
Shame on you. Are you talking about sensuality between Christians? Christians don't get pregnant by any other means than the stork. You know, man.
Molly found her happily ever after.
Yeah, and that's what I like about Fertility Pirates. You have this very unique premise. You got a lot going on here. You got mystery and intrigue, and you got that really nice sci-fi world that we're all just delving into. Lots are going on here. And so we just gave you a taste of Fertility Pirates, but I want to have people to get opportunity to follow you, Lynn, because you do have other books out there. So tell us about where we can find you online.
You go to Amazon.com and you can just put in the search Lynn Donovan. Now there are 2 Lynn Donovan authors, so you're going to want to look for the one that lists Fertility Pirates. That's me. I'm the brunette, she's the blonde. So if you're seeing a blonde picture of the author, it's not me. But I've got about 22, 23 books online, and I've got those 2, those are my only 2 that are speculative fiction, but I've got 5 that are under Christian fiction and they're contemporary. I've got several that are contemporary and they're not Christian fiction, but my stories always have a sweet element. You know, I don't go into the heavy core anything. And then I have some other contemporaries that are give me a minute here. Phantom Horse Bridge series. I have 3 books in that. I have Java Cupid series. These are contemporary. And I have 4 books in that, and Parker's in that one too. She's got some books published on that one. And then here lately, I've been working on historical fiction, romance. So I've got the Gunther City series. I've got the Silver Pine series, and I've got the Lantern in the Window series. So there's quite a few books there. If you like to read all kinds of different stuff, I write all kinds of different stuff. So I'm your author because I've got all those different kind of reads.
One thing I love about Lynn is that she really is a great author, but she's also just a great support to us. And me and Lynn have been doing a couple of series together. And as far as we know, we're probably gonna keep doing it till the Lord calls us home. So we're gonna be doing this for a while, you know. So I'm really excited about that. So Lynn, I want to thank you so very much for helping me and being with me on the show today to showcase Fertility Pirates. We just gave you a taste of Fertility Pirates, so hope that really whets your appetite because the book is good. If you like a great saga, you like intrigue, adventure, romance, the spec part of it with the science and the fertility, and just you want to delve into something, Fertility Pirates is for you. So this is what I want you to do. Make sure you get your copy of Fertility Pirates, not tomorrow, not the day after that. Make sure you get it today by Lynn Donovan, and then make sure you pick up Clone Chaos, which is the second of that series. So Lynn, once again, thank you so much for being with us today. And for me at Bright Stuff, join us next week for another episode and another great book. Bye.